Hello and welcome to the show that, despite the pleas of our families and friends, simply will not stop talking about D&D.
So ready your spells and weapons, grab the shiniest set of your math rocks, and prepare for critical friendship.
So today we are talking about our favorite spells, and we're going to finish up our series on spells, levels 6 through 9. So, Blake, how do you want to do this?
Well, again, these are not in any particular objective, this is the best spell. These are our opinions. This is what we like. And a lot of them are things that we've either seen somebody else, use in a game or something like that. It's a lot of the ones in this list are ones that I have never cast because we don't often get to play as crazy high level characters.
Yeah, we're usually either in our campaigns at anywhere from 4th to 6th level or 20th level and barely get to do any of the spells.
We've done one 20th level. And
I'm sorry. It was 10th level is our normal one shot.
Yeah.
And then we did 1 20th level. So
Yeah. Okay. So my first pick for 6th level, I have two on here. My first pick for 6th level is Contingency.
Okay, I did see that on the list, and I was curious about that one.
So you basically you're making a contingency plan.
Okay.
So you can pretty much cast a 5th level spell or lower, and then you set you set a criteria for what makes it go off.
Okay.
So hey, if I drop to 0 hit points, cast this, larger healing spell on me.
Ooh.
Or hey, I've been hit with the frightened condition and I don't want that. So cast something like Calm Emotions, or probably I don't actually think that works on the frightened condition, but cast something like Greater Restoration that will get rid of an effect like that. I've been poisoned and I really can't be poisoned right now, but I have contingency, so it's going to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be something like, it just says 5th level or lower, right?
Yeah.
So you could be like, if I drop to 0 hit points, I want a fireball cast at 5th level centered on me. Ooh. So whatever just hit me, I may be dead, but
taking them with you.
But I'm going out as a nuke.
So one thing I kind of think we never really established is what classes can actually cast these spells. I don't think we ever said that in our previous episodes.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, what classes can cast it?
What classes can cast these spells?
So for this one, it's wizards. And the duration of it is 10 days.
Oh, wow.
So it takes you 10 minutes to cast the spell, so it's not something you're going to be using in combat.
Right.
But if you know you're going to be going into a particularly nasty combat...
Is it a concentration, or is it just
Nope.
This happens?
It is a duration of 10 days, not concentration.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, it says, the contingent spell takes effect immediately after the circumstance is met for the first time, whether or not you want it to, and then the contingency ends. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to have water breathing cast on myself, and the contingency is, or the circumstance is, I get wet. Because you're expecting that you might fall off of the ship that you're traveling on.
Right.
And then it rains. Well,
yeah.
You're wet.
At least you get that for 24 hours, though. So at least it's you got it.
So
whether or not you actually use it, that's the problem.
Yeah. And then the other thing is the contingency spell takes effect only on you, even if it can normally target others. You can only use one contingency at a time. If you cast the spell again,
switches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that was my next question.
You can't be like, okay, when this person hits me and I drop to 0 hit points, it's going to be fireball cast on them. It's like, no, it's hitting me.
Right.
Now, there's probably DMs that would rule it where it's like, no, it says it can only affect you. It can only target you.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that you can't use an area of an effect spell like fireball or something like that. And I would understand that ruling. I think personally at my table, something like that, it's like, okay, if you're down and fireball gets cast on you, you're probably gonna be dead. I would allow something like that. I don't think it breaks the game. I don't think it ruins anything. It's just like, okay, you're not going to be able to cast something like, Bane on your enemy who just downed you, or something like that. Like, if somebody hits me, then Bane gets cast on them. Mm-hmm. You can't do that.
So it's only a self.
Yeah.
Like the target is self.
But you could do it with something like haste or enlarge reduce or something like that, where it's like, okay,
I dropped to 0 hit points and I enlarge myself.
No, I meant something like, if combat starts, if somebody makes an attack roll against me, then haste gets activated.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an instant.
Yeah.
Spell that you get to
without having to use your reaction. The contingency just goes off.
Yeah. So does that it only uses the one spell slot to do contingency, or does it use a second spell slot to do that second effect or that effect?
So it expends the spell slots for both.
Okay. But so it's just a precast spell.
Yeah, so you'd be using a 6th level spell slot to cast contingency, and then 5th or lower to cast whatever other spell it's going to be.
As basically a reaction.
Yeah. Well, but then here's the thing.
That is a thing.
It does not say that when you cast the spell, because it lasts for 10 days. Right. So it doesn't show on here that the other spell or either spell slot won't come back.
Oh, right.
So you cast contingency. It's going to last you for the next 10 days. Like, you're going to be in combat tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a long rest in between. Why not cast contingency? Let that just sit there. Take your long rest. Get both your spell slots back. And then it's basically a free spell.
Yeah.
Now, I could see an argument for somebody saying, like, no, I don't really know that we should do it that way. Or maybe because it's technically still in effect, it's almost like a held spell, then the spell slot doesn't come back. I would understand that
understandable
argument.
Yeah.
But me personally, and again, a lot of this podcast is just our opinions, the way we run our games. I'd allow it to come back.
Yeah, we're pretty much rule of cool.
Well, it's
for the most part.
It's fun trumps story trumps rules, right? So the most important thing at your table is that people are having fun. Yeah. The second most important thing is that the story is being told. The third and least important thing is that you're following the rules. Yeah. Because
but it's still important.
What is somebody like somebody leaving your D&D table after a session? What would you prefer them to say? Man, I had a lot of fun. Or, wow, we sure did follow those rules. Like, I'm sorry, but if we get out of a session, if somebody comes out of a session and is like, man, we really did follow those rules, I'd be like, so you didn't have fun, did you? Like, I'm sorry. And that's not to say that you can't have fun following the rules.
Right, yeah.
It's just sometimes they get in the way.
Definitely.
And that's why the Dungeon Master's Guide and stuff like that will tell you these are a guideline. Yeah. Like, follow them until they get in the way, and then throw out whatever you don't need. Like, you don't have to follow every single rule in this book. Take it or leave it. Yeah. This is supposed to be used as a skeletal structure for your game, and if you decide you don't need that bone, contact your local necromancer.
Nice. I like it.
My other level 6 spell, because I'm trying to keep this whittled down. My other level 6 spell is just you got to have your big damage spell. And what big damage spell is more just frightening, either from a player's standpoint of having it cast on you, or from a dungeon master's standpoint of, oh, you solved my puzzle with destruction. Disintegrate.
Yeah.
I mean,
that one's on my list as well. So
yeah, I mean, 10d6 plus 40 it's just a lot of damage. And there's that joke going around where like you have the door and the dungeon master is describing like all the symbols on the door and the little key slots, and then you have these keys that have these different symbols on it, and there's a riddle on the bottom, and the wizard casts disintegrate on the door.
Yep.
And it's like, but my puzzle, yeah, I solved it with magic. Well, why though? It's gone. So it's a great damaging spell. It's a great, hey, there's an obstacle in our way that I don't want to be there anymore spell.
Yeah.
It's just and I mean,
you basically Kool-Aid man it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And the DM shaking his head going, "Oh no." Yeah, like there's not much in the game that's going to leave you feeling more powerful than just pointing at something and like just deleting it from existence, like and be like, no, it's gone now. But I put so much work into that puzzle. Yeah, but it's gone now.
I would be remiss to, as a Marvel fan, not to mention the fact that it's basically the Marvel Thanos snap.
Yep. If your character ever gets hit with disintegrate and you're dying, you gotta say, well, Lander, I don't feel so good.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Mr. Stark.
I don't feel so good. Yeah, like if I ever lose a character to disintegrate, that will be what he says to somebody else as he dies. Just Worm. Atreya, I don't feel so good.
You know, that is another thing that I like about Critical Role's Matt Mercer and how people die.
Mm-hmm.
Like the characters die is like, what do you think in the last moments of your,
Mm-hmm.
And like, I feel like that's something that I want to adopt as well, as like that particular kind of thing. Like, how do you react to dying? Like, what is your last thoughts? How do you reach out to someone? How do you, things like that. It's like, it can be pretty powerful.
Yeah. And sadly, the character death that we had at our table, he was alone.
Oh no.
You were there.
Oh wait, which one?
That was David's character.
Oh yeah.
So he sacrificed himself so that you guys could all get away from that dragon.
Yeah.
And it was our way of writing out his character. It's not like I was being, a brutal DM and just killing somebody, because it was, he was done with the campaign. He was like, I like this, it's fun, but there's just too much on my schedule. Like I gotta back out. And we're like, okay, yeah. And I even asked him, I was like, do you want your character to retire peacefully, or do you want to go out in a blaze of glory? And he just got this big grin. He goes, blaze of glory. I was like, okay, cool. And so he literally sacrificed himself to let everybody else run away from an ancient dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think he had a one of the laser weapons from the Id Ascendant in Icewind Dale, and he got bitten by this dragon and like picked up, and he goes, hey, I have not fired this thing yet. Can I overload the energy cells and just have them all go off at once? And I was like, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah. And he's an illithid too. So
and he was an illithid. And so he had the prior knowledge of how these things work. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to tinker with this thing and turn it into a bomb.
Yep.
And so as he's being eaten by this dragon, he tinkers with this thing, and everybody's running away, and just this light explosion just boom.
I was gonna say that's the kind of like that's the sound that goes through my head, is that what is it, Star Wars Rogue One, maybe the explosion of like it's a nerd explosion. It's like the big one.
Okay, yeah. but that kind of happened as everybody was running away, and just boom. and Friendly was still just convinced that he was still alive. He's like, I
didn't see it.
He's like, I didn't see him die. He's fine. Like there was a bright light behind us, but because it's radiant damage, so it wasn't a fiery explosion. And we actually had him roll damage. Sadly, it didn't kill the dragon, but it messed him up pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to take a while for that thing to heal up.
But yeah. So my other 6th level pick was Disintegrate. Obviously, there's others on here that I really like, but
yeah,
for the sake of time, I just chose the 2.
Yeah. I'll cut off a couple of mine as well, just to
like Disintegrate.
Well, yeah. I will say about Disintegrate, that is another one that I've seen done on Critical Role that it's just like, wow, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That's the wizard that casts it a lot, and it's just like that does some that's good.
and Disintegrate is for sorcerers and wizards. That is who may take that spell.
Nice. So I actually have a few on my list, but I'm going to try to cut mine down a bit as well. But the first one on my list is actually Hero's Feast. That I like that one a lot.
I have that cookbook.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it at your house.
think we made something for y'all out of it one time.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was those like meat pockets.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was like the little hand pies.
Yeah.
They were kind of falling apart, but they were really good.
Yeah, they were yummy. I like them. I like them a lot. But yeah, so Hero's Feast is one that I've seen a lot done in both seasons that I've seen of Critical Role, where they are going into a fight and they're like, you know what? Let's do this thing that gives us immunity to poison. You get advantage on wisdom saving throws for a full 24 hours. And it's like, this thing helps a lot. Let's see if I can find I feel like there was something else that it did. The feast takes an hour to consume and disappears at the end of the time. Oh yeah, and it can be consumed by up to 12 creatures, which is crazy. So like, no matter how many people you have in your party, basically, like you're never gonna have 12 people in your party, unless you're some big wig D&D, player. But like, that can juggle 12 players.
Someday.
Nah, that's too big. That's way too big. Oh, it gives you
immunity to fear and
so the creature is cured of all diseases and poison, becomes immune to poison and being frightened, and makes all wisdom saving throws with advantage. And then it gives you your maximum hit point increases by 2d10. So you get temporary hit points as well. So it's a big spell. But the thing is you have to have a chalice, like a bowl with gems on it worth a certain amount of 1,000 gold pieces worth of gems on it. So it's like,
that's the thing though. It doesn't, if I'm not mistaken, it does not say that it's consumed by the spell, does it?
I believe it is.
It should say on the material components.
Yeah, a gem encrusted bowl worth at least 1,000 gold pieces, which the spell consumes.
Okay, yeah, then.
But it's also verbal, somatic, and the materials.
So it's an expensive spell to cast.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, if you're at the level where you can cast 6th level spells, I would hope you got some money.
Yeah. And this one is. Can be taken by clerics, druids, and divine soul sorcerers, and also bards. Apparently, that's nice. I guess an optional one, which makes sense. I feel like,
like the cleric, the bard preparing a feast while they entertain you, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like, or
it fits thematically.
if you think about like a bard also being like something that isn't just music or dancing or whatever, it could also be a chef.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
Like a
any,
hibachi chef.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
That would
Like
be an awesome bard.
have like a College of Swords bard that like their swords are their big like hibachi knives, and so like their whole fighting is like a performance art.
Yeah.
And then they start casting Heroes Feast, and like everybody lines up, and they're just sitting there at this chalice, like flipping blades around and like launching shrimp into people's mouths and stuff like that. Like, perfect.
Lighting the onions on fire.
Here's the onion volcano.
Have some sake.
Yeah. I like that. That's a fun character idea. The hibachi chef bard that like their bardic inspiration is performing these like knife acrobatics while they're stabbing the enemies and stuff, and like as I flip the blade and jab it into this guy's jugular, I'm gonna give our barbarian a D6 or a D10 of bardic inspiration.
And that's actually just a piece of shrimp that he throws in the barbarian's mouth.
No, the barbarian's just inspired by the display of violence that he's just like, yes.
Yeah. See, I like that, but I also like the idea of like the inspiration is just a piece of food that he's throwing. It's like an enchanted piece of food.
Yeah, that's great.
That'd be awesome. I want to play this character now.
We'll find a time.
That actually might be what I might do with this character that I'm making I've made, but I haven't fully fleshed out.
Do it for the feudal Japan one.
Oh man, yes, yes, I like it.
Our buddy Joel is planning a campaign that's somewhat set in feudal era Japan, and some of us are struggling with that right now because I'm like, I don't know anything about Japanese culture. I don't know anything about feudal era Japan. So I'm going to be playing a Westerner that is there because I'm ignorant. It'd be real fun to have like a hibachi chef bard that's just like
yeah, that'd be sick.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'm gonna post a photo of the Hero Forge character I made for this guy because I really like the way I did it. It's really funny. His name is Pips.
Mm-hmm.
He's a gnome. I'll show it to you. The sword will be different, but so he's a jester style bard, that's
hilarious.
He's gonna have a little bit of change after this.
They have chef hats.
Yeah, he's gonna have a chef hat. He'll have like the knives and stuff like that. I like it.
Very nice. Very
a
nice.
Pouch of like little pieces of food in it and stuff like that. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, so Heroes Feast I think is definitely on that list, high up on that list because it's very helpful, very much a just powerful spell. I think that a buff spell, a powerful buff spell is what I was going for.
Very nice.
And then the other one that I want to put on this list is I was going back and forth between Planar Ally and Word of Recall. Because Planar Ally gets you a super powerful, basically familiar of sorts, but just way more powerful. So you basically summon a creature from a different plane that I've seen as like an angel, I've seen as demons, I've seen as stuff like that. Oh, geez, that's a lot to read.
Yeah, my next pick for the 7th level spell is quite a bit to read too. I summarize. Let me explain.
Oh,
no, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Yeah, so you can
name that movie. Not you, Dan. Do you not know it?
I know the movie, but it's not coming to mind right now.
Let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He got it.
I got it.
Somebody at home is going, "It's this movie, Dan."
Someone's gonna slap me.
It might be me.
My brother would probably slap me from all the way in New York.
He's going to slap you. It's okay. Esperanza likes it.
That's for you, Adam.
That one's all you, Adam. Congrats on having one of the most memorable one-shot characters.
Awesome. Okay, so planar ally, you can summon a god, a primordial, a demon prince, or some other being of cosmic power,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get their own like stat block, basically, is from what I can see, and their own initiative and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's amazing. I've seen it done as a celestial of some kind, and it was like, whoa.
Hey, man, guess what? I'm gonna summon a solar. No.
I don't want you to.
The DM's just going, please don't. Or in the evil campaign, the DM has their wizard cast it. And, no.
Please, no.
No.
Gods, no.
Gods, yes.
All right, on to level 7, Blake.
So, as we've learned, my first pick is usually some sort of fun, either roleplay or utilitarian spell. So my first pick for level 7 is Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion.
You stole another one.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
we don't compare lists before we start this.
No.
We just make a decision like, oh, I'm going to talk about these. And then we get into it and it's okay, that's the only one I took from level 7. So we're good.
For those of you who listen to Two Geeks, One Noob, we do this all the time.
Yeah. Stupid minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly. Idiot.
2 Geeks, 1 Noob?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Two Geeks, One Noob.
Because you guys...
We do the
Mount Rushmores.
Mount Rushmores, and we don't compare our lists, so... we usually have overlap like, somewhere.
And Caleb stole mine. Yeah, so... I really like this one because it's just like it's a way to just get out of there. Like, man, we're in a really dangerous area and we've just been like getting pummeled and beaten down and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, we need a rest. We need somewhere to go. And so your wizard or your bard, which are the 2 classes that can take that, are just like, well, I have this mansion we could go stay at. And like, wait, we've been roughing it in the woods for weeks. And you have an interdimensional mansion that you can just like, here's a door. Yep. Like, are you kidding me? So you make a little 5-foot by 10-foot door in a space within range, which is 300 feet.
Yeah.
And when you go through it, it takes you into a big freaking mansion. Mm-hmm. I mean, it says that it can't be bigger than 50 cubes, and each cube is 50 foot by 50 foot by 50 foot. And so you've basically just made this very large, very nice mansion, and it says you can make whatever floor plan you want. And then you have 100 different like semi-transparent servants that are just wandering around the mansion at your beck and call, just doing whatever you need. Like, hey, I need you to go, like, take these rations, go prepare some food, and then serve it to us, and, you know, make the beds, and go and do this, and clean up afterwards. And it's just like, so not only do you have a mansion that can fit, 100? Yeah, up to contains sufficient food to serve a 9-course banquet for up to 100 people. So you can probably fit around that many people in the mansion. But then you have 100 unseen servants basically moving around and doing all this different stuff. And it's just like you've been roughing it in the woods for a week. Your ranger's tired. Your barbarian's getting grumpy. Everybody just needs a break. And then the bard's like, oh yeah, I forgot I can do this thing. Strums his lute a little bit, and then suddenly just like, now we're living in the lap of luxury. and then you can go in there and shut the door behind you.
And nobody can see it.
And nobody can see it, and nobody but the people you designate can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, as a DM, there's some fun stuff you can do because you get to make up your own magic and be like, oh yeah, so-and-so found a way to get in there. Like,
yeah.
And you can, I would be very careful doing that because that's like their inner sanctum. That's their safe place. That's their respite from whatever you've been doing to them that has made them cast this spell. And then if you have your BBEG go in there, I would be careful with that. Either make it take a lot out of them so they go in a weakened state, or have it be a thing that they have a really hard time doing, so you have to like roll a percentile or something to see if they can even accomplish that feat. You know, break into what is essentially a demiplane that you made.
Yeah.
And
well,
then,
not only is it a demiplane, but it's also a wizard's tower.
Exactly.
Towel. Apparently, we're in.
He just showered.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
but, and I would also say, at a certain point, you could make the argument. So it says the
100 servants.
Well, they can't make attacks.
Oh, really?
But I would argue they can't make attacks, but they can set up some pretty wacky Home Alone style traps.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, your BBE just came in there, and let me see something real quick.
I was gonna say, like, I would even say, like, they could block attacks.
So it says you create any floor plan you like. It doesn't say whether or not you can change that floor plan while you're in there.
From what I've seen, and this is, again, this was on my list for a reason. From what I've seen, you can make small changes, but for like the bigger changes and stuff, you have to like cast it again, or like you have to do another casting.
What I was going to argue though is if you're the DM and you're allowing your bad guy to get in there, I would allow me personally to say, okay, yes, he's in there, but you made this world. You crafted it and wove it together with your magic. So go ahead and have your servants start making, Home Alone style traps.
Yeah.
And then start telling and like make each room. So I'd say you have to have the same rooms that you originally designed. But on like your grid map, have each room drawn on like a square of paper. And then say, how would you like to move these around? And on your initiative, you can use an action to move, like to shift a couple rooms. Maybe not all of them, but make it this really fun dynamic combat / trap run that you have now put your DM through. and I don't know, I feel like as a DM that would be so much fun to just give you these in tiles and say, okay, for example, just I would have to look at the logistics of it, but each round you can move 3 rooms. So you can pick it up and move it to a different doorway. Yeah. So we've all run into this one bedroom. We're going to pick this room up, move it over here. We're going to put this one in this spot that the unseen servants have just prepared traps in. So now we've shifted around. BBEG runs into there and now is getting hit by these traps. And I would say that they're probably not crazy intricate traps. They're probably all fairly low level, but turn it into a Kevin McAllister style, like see if you can.
There's a paint can that's falling.
See if you can get us while reality shifts and warps around you. Yeah. And then suddenly now the bad guy doesn't want to attack your mansion. He leaves because he's not taking any serious damage. But this sucks. I think that in itself would be a really fun encounter.
I want to be in that encounter. That would be so much fun.
Especially because that gives your main villain is supposed to be a frightful presence.
Oh yeah.
to your players. You know, he's supposed to, he or she is supposed to be somebody like big and intimidating and scary and like, I don't know if we fight them right now, we might not be able to handle it. And then he comes after you on your turf.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to take that power balance and just put it in the hands of the players and say, okay, he messed up. You guys have had instances where you get into something that's way above your head.
Yeah.
This time he did it. What are you going to do? How are you going to mess with his head?
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know.
That sounds like so much fun.
I feel like that would be such a fun, like a fun little encounter and combat and stuff like that, because yeah, he's going to have his minions and he's going to have his cool spells and magic items and whatever, and his overpowered monsters and sidekicks, but you're on my turf. This is my playground.
Yeah. I want to play that encounter so bad right now.
I might have to plan that as a one shot. Yeah. Like, make it at whatever level. So you only have 1 7th level spell for somebody to be able to cast that.
Mm-hmm.
And then just let everybody play. And maybe, I don't know, because there would be a difficulty in the fact that whoever is the caster of the spell would have like all the cards.
Yeah.
So maybe I would put it where each party member on their turn gets to move one room.
Mm. Yeah, like the wizard is giving kind of or the bard or whatever is kind of giving the authority to be able to move certain things, or even move a trap somewhere or something like that. Yeah.
And like when you look at like old school like horror movies, something like Stephen King's Rose Red, where the floor plan and the layout of the building changes and expands and shrinks, and I just opened a door and went into this hallway and now the door is gone. Like, man,
what if it was the servants that actually had the like the way of moving things around, like they're the ones like picking it up and moving it basically. So like the wizard is like, okay, you like this player has charge of these particular servants, go like move things around the way you want to.
Do as he says.
Yeah, basically.
And that way you could even sorry.
At least as the flavor of it, you know.
And that way you could even like somewhat split the party and have everybody in these different areas doing different things to try to capture and corral the different villains and bad guys and sidekicks and stuff like that, to kill them or scare them enough to where they don't want to be involved anymore. And they're just like, dude, get us out of here. This is nuts. And there could be tactics in it because, okay, maybe the bad guy has some spells that he can use to like, okay, yes, they just moved this room, but it's my turn right now, and I can use some kind of divination spell to find them and like, okay, they're here, and then run over. So it is a game of cat and mouse where you are the cat, but the mouse might have some sharp teeth.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's mousetrap.
Yeah, where it's like, yes, this is you do have the power here, but if he finds you, it's going to be very bad for you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Force cage, cloud kill.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the first of my picks. Obviously I honorable mentioned Force cage because it's just a good spell. But my other one that I really like, I was planning on taking it with one of my warlock characters, because it's available to sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. And I wanted to take it with Dax as well, my sorcerer character.
Okay.
Is Finger of Death.
Yeah.
Which can be seen in the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, yeah.
But we would like it.
Please.
So you basically just you point at somebody and just murder them. Yeah. So you point at somebody and it just hits them with this massive wave of necrotic damage or necrotic energy. Deals 7d8 plus 30 damage.
Oof.
And if it kills them, then they rise on the next turn as a zombie that is permanently under your command.
Oh.
So normally undead, you say you do create undead or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're under your command for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Wherein after that time, you have to cast the spell again to reassert your control over them.
Mm-hmm.
This one has no such stipulation.
Dang.
Now, granted, with some of the higher level undead that you can use with other spells, you can technically say summon something like a wight, which is an intelligent undead.
Mm-hmm.
So you could summon that and then bargain with it to where it is now willingly following you instead of being controlled and coerced by you, and possibly now wights can also create an undead.
Ooh, okay.
So now when they're killing things with their energy drain or spirit drain, I don't remember exactly what the ability is, and that raises as an undead permanently under his control, and then you have him willingly following you. Yeah, sure, you could do that, but is a good
it ends at some
is
point.
a good aligned character going to maintain permanent control over a malevolent undead? Probably not. However, Finger of Death is your ticket to an undead army because you don't ever have to reassert that control. So yes, maybe you can only cast it once a day. And maybe you're only casting it, hitting somebody like one person per combat. After a certain point, you end up with a pretty good amount of undead under your control that you're not then having to burn spell slots to keep them under your control.
Right. Yeah, because if you do it once a day for a month, you got 30 people under your under your control.
Yeah, and this is I'm assuming that you're playing a good aligned character,
or at least chaotic good.
Yeah, something like that. And you're, say, casting it on bandits, or maybe you get a job as the town's executioner.
Oh no.
You're technically still following the law. Yeah. You are getting rid of criminals that have been sentenced to death, so you're doing a good thing. You're just also bolstering your own strength every single time you take one out. And I would say, if you have a character who has Finger of Death, why wouldn't you go and try to become the town's executioner? Like, it's not going to be any kind of flashy public execution, but it's going to be once a day. You walk into the person's cell and say, okay, well, did you have your last meal? Sorry about this, bud. Finger guns, and now you've got another servant. Yeah. Permanently.
Jeez. Now, what do you do with all these people? Like, just put them in your wizard tower?
You keep them in Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion, and then when fit hits the shan, you open the door and call them all out, and suddenly there's this 5x10 door that just is pouring out undead.
Except Mordenkainen's magnificent tower ends at a certain point, and everything that's in it that isn't supposed to be in it flops out.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
That's true.
So you'd have to have like a permanent demiplane.
Demiplane.
Yeah. There you go.
Demiplane would do the same thing.
Yep.
Or just a portable hole.
Yeah.
you're just storing corpses in your portable hole, and then you get into combat and you're like, hang on, time out real quick. Let me unfold this, set it on the ground, and come on, guys. And now you've just got this hole in the ground that is just got a bunch of undead that just start climbing out of it. And it's like,
now, okay, real quick.
What kind of magician would I be without my beautiful assistants? We took some liberties with the word beautiful.
Yeah. So here's a question about the portable hole in that instance. Would you allow to unfold it and hang it somewhere so that they can come out walking on the ground, or do you have to have them all climb out on the floor?
I might allow it.
Yeah.
But you could also just open a portable hole and then get your warlock who has the invocations that can push and pull people to just yank somebody into the hole.
Oh. Yeah. Pit of death.
The medieval castles had little slots in the windows that were called murder holes. Mm-hmm. Well, this is my murder hole. But if you are a warlock and you have the invocation that allows your Eldritch Blast to pull people, and you do not do your best impression of Mortal Kombat Scorpion,
get over here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you're not allowed at my table anymore. You don't have to do it every time, but you have to do it at least once during the campaign. Just get over here. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two. Obviously there's other ones that are great. Prismatic Spray, Resurrection is great. Simulacrum it's just fun.
Yeah.
But honorable mentions versus those are the ones that I just really like those.
There's definitely a bunch on there, like those obvious spells that you want to have, like the resurrections and the healing and stuff like that. I feel like we kind of established that in the beginning of like, these are really good spells, but they're not the ones that we want to emphasize because like
the ones that
obvious.
The ones that we're talking are not necessarily the best spells in the game. They're just ones that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sequester is also a fun one. I've seen some campaign plot hooks based off of Sequester, and I'm like, oh, I like that.
So if you cast that, are you a sequestrian?
Good one.
Thank you. Oh, that's staying in, by the way.
I figured.
Gotta get my dad jokes in. Anyway, but yeah,
man, level 8 is so good.
You stole one of mine, but that actually makes it okay because I had 3. But yeah, my first one was Draconic Transformation. I used this in our 20th level one shot.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot because it gives you a breath weapon, which is really cool. I love the fact that you can pick a damage type and just breathe it out. But it also gives you like ethereal wings and claws and a bite and stuff like that. So it's almost like having that Path of the Beast barbarian thing or the Beast Warden, or not Beast Warden, Drake Warden abilities for the Ranger to be able to just grow claws out of your without having to be those classes, which is really cool. I like it. But I was playing as a wildfire druid that was able to. It was a very fire-based character. Mm-hmm. He was a wildfire druid, and he was a fire genasi,
which was nice because the creature you were fighting had no resistances to fire.
Right, which was really cool. Also, the rocks that we had to destroy were not vulnerable to fire, but at least took fire damage.
Yeah,
which was really nice.
God, man, level 8 is so good. I'm sorry.
We're almost there. There.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know how to narrow this down. There's going to be a lot of honorable mentions in 8.
Mm-hmm. My other one for level 7 is Reverse Gravity.
Oh, you have one of mine on level 8?
Uh-oh.
I'll pick a different one.
But yeah, I've seen Reverse Gravity do a couple of different things, and tell me if I'm wrong. If this is, I might be thinking of like Gravity Well or something like this, but you can make gravity go upward, but also you can make it go further down.
No, I think that's Gravity Well. So Reverse Gravity literally just switches it around.
Yeah.
And then when the spell ends, it flips you back down.
Which I used that
in the 20th level campaign also.
made your little minions go like 500 feet up in the air.
100.
100 feet
They
up in the
weren't
air.
little. They were very
They were
big.
very big.
But when you ended the spell, it did drop one and he just splattered on the ground. The other one did survive, but that was because he had barely been touched.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, let me roll that damage. And I actually rule falling damage as more than what the books say.
Yeah. Because you do a D10, right?
Yeah, the books are like every 10 feet after 10 feet, it's a D10 bludgeoning damage. And I'm like, I'm going to do a D10.
Yeah, because it makes the most sense.
Because there's like, it's a D6. And I'm like, I like the D10.
Yeah.
Because when, like, I'm in construction, you fall off of a ladder, that can end your career. And that's like a 6-foot ladder can end your career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
a 10-foot
enough damage.
10-foot ladder, and you're pretty messed up. Go 100 feet in the air, you're not getting back up after that.
You go splat, splat.
Now, granted, D&D characters are far more durable than in real life, and they have magic and things like that can fix them. But
right. But they'll still do that damage.
I like the D10.
But yeah, so reverse gravity, I feel like, is a really, really useful spell to be able to just get. It's almost like this kind of spell that gets rid of like crowds.
Yeah,
in a way,
because it's a pretty big area of effect.
It's like 50 feet or something like that.
So if there's a whole bunch of people standing in it, you just pick them up and then drop them.
Yeah. Let me look at that. Reverse gravity. And it lasts for a minute. So 10 rounds, they're just up in the air until you let it go or let.
Which if they have no ranged capabilities, they're just kind of in trouble.
Yeah. Which I thought it was funny how you guys kept
grabbing
for rocks,
pieces of the broken cobblestone street and stuff, and they kept
missing.
They kept not being able to get a hold of rocks, and then one of them got a hold of a pretty big boulder. I was like, okay, well, he's gonna try to throw this at you, and he fails. That's a nat one.
But also, we figured out that he was trying to throw it outside of the reverse gravity field, and it was like, wait, what would that do? Because it would go up, and then it would start falling down. Yeah, at some point. It's a fun spell.
Hey man, those things served their purpose.
Oh yeah.
In the rounds that they were in, so I was using the Star Spawn, and specifically the Star Spawn Hulk, and the big bad was the greater Star Spawn Emissary. Mm-hmm. Or rather, it started as the lesser and then transformed into the greater, as they do. And so there was a combat, and 4 Star Spawn Hulk showed up and just would start surrounding them, and the Star Spawn Emissary would fire a psychic orb, which would then hit one of the Star Spawn Hulk, activating its psychic mirror ability, which would then blast psychic energy to everything within 10 feet, including the other Hulks, which would then blast psychic energy to everything within 10 feet, and cause these really nasty chain reactions where at one point I was like, you take 85 damage. It's psychic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a rough combat.
It was like, you take 85 damage. It's like, it's okay, I'm a barbarian. I have it. It's psychic damage. Oh.
Yeah.
So I take 85 damage, and it was like, yeah, I'm sorry. The one turn when he just used all, like, his whole multi-attack to fire 3 psychic orbs at that one Hulk. It's kind of nice that I forgot that there was another Hulk that was within 10 feet of that one.
Oh, right.
So he hit it 3 times, and it almost dropped both of our barbarians, but I forgot that the other one was within 10 feet, so it should have hit him too.
And mirrored again.
Basically, mirrored again and doubled the amount of damage they took, which would have killed them both.
Yeah. Outright, I think.
Not outright.
You don't think so?
No, and one of them was a zealot barbarian at 20th level, so she would have kept fighting anyways.
Yeah.
But
she would have died after.
Yeah, that was a whoopsie on my part that ended up working out really well for the players, where I was like several rounds later, I was like, oh man, that other one was there. That technically should have doubled the damage. And Heather and Ariel both kind of looked at me like, don't do it. I was like, no, guys, that was my bad. We're already past it. I'm not going to retroactively add the damage to it. Yeah. Like, that was on me.
The times when a DM forgetting his abilities is nice.
It's kind of nice. Oh, they're dangerous.
When you don't, that's when it's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. All right. So those were your two.
Those are my level 7s. Yeah. So yeah, let's go on to level 8.
So
level 8.
So we kind of touched on this one in the last one, and it would be a spell that is available to warlocks and wizards, with the optional availability to sorcerers. And that would be Demiplane.
Ah, yes. Okay.
It's basically the Magnificent Mansion, but a little better, because you've just made a pocket dimension that is completely yours. And you know, I would say if you have that certain amount of control over the mansion, you have even more over a demiplane.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's just nice. It appears to be an empty room that's 30 feet in each dimension, made of wood or stone. When the spell ends, the door disappears and any creature or objects inside the demiplane remain trapped in there. So you can use it to just, I'm going to shunt this guy into a demiplane and then shut the door.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in there. Now,
you're basically banishing, but better.
Yeah. Now, granted, if that person is a spellcaster, I would argue that they can cast demiplane to get out.
Mm. That wouldn't it just go into another demiplane though?
See, that's a question that I have always thought about, because if you cast a demiplane inside of a demiplane, does it do the same thing as a bag of holding inside of bag of holding? Because it's an extra dimensional space inside of an extra dimensional space.
Yeah, I would say it would.
So he got out,
but then exploded.
And also, technically, if he's a high enough spellcaster, he could probably, I mean, if he's casting 8th level spells, he probably has something in his repertoire that would allow him to plane hop.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can be a plane hopper, but
Planeswalker.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what.
Sorry, that's not D&D. That's the other thing that Wizards of the Coast does.
Planescape.
No, that's Magic the Gathering.
The
Planeswalkers.
Got it. I don't play Magic, so that's.
I used to.
I don't know it very much.
I used to. But then I got into D&D and was like, this is more fun.
This is bad.
Plus, I was not great at Magic. I had a couple decks that were really good. But if I ever tried to play against anybody that actually knew what they were doing, I was like, oh, I suck at this. Got it. Cool. I also didn't spend $8,000 on a deck, so mine's going to be a bit inferior.
Just a tad. It's like, I got a first level character here.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's like going up against a 20th level character in D&D with a first level character.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna win.
Yeah, and so say you are fighting something really nasty and you open a demiplane, get it to chase you in there, and then you leave and shut the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then later you're like, man, I really want to cast demiplane, but that thing's in there. You can make a new one.
Yeah.
So you can either have the door connect to a new demiplane of your creation, or you can make it connect to the last one.
Nice.
So, for example, fun thing you could do, catch a big, bad, nasty monster in a demiplane. Go to the big bad guy's lair. Open said door to demiplane, and then teleport out of there.
Yeah. Or going to another demiplane
or
yourself.
Going to another demiplane, but then you'd have to cast the 8th level spell twice. But I mean, think about it this way. Teleport out of there. Let those two fight it out. one of them is going to be significantly softened after the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Assuming that the monster is not a servant of the big guy.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just making assumptions here.
Yeah.
And then you just go back in there with the rest of your party and then mop up whatever's left.
I like it.
Not a terrible strategy. And I, as the DM, would applaud you for the creativity of it. Like, oh, you guys previously trapped like a death kiss beholder in there.
Mm.
Okay, cool. Several sessions later, you're fighting the big bad guy. You grab your friends and say, hey, get ready. Open the demiplane and then teleport out of there.
Yeah. Now
he's got to fight a death kiss. Now, is it necessarily going to be able to kill the big bad guy? Probably not.
Yeah.
But and you also risk the danger of, okay, well, now they're friends. But it's not a terrible strategy.
There is also the idea of if you are already in combat, you have to wait for 2 turns to be able to do that. If you do it before combat, you're more so golden, but...
Well, have the wizard go in there invisible, cast demiplane to open it up, and then just teleport out of there.
Yeah. Greater invisibility.
Yeah. Like...
Not just invisibility, because
yeah.
you become visible after casting a spell.
Yeah.
But greater invisibility, you're good.
Exactly. And so you can do some fun stuff with that. Or just if you have, more than one 8th level spell, maybe you cast contingency to be able to cast demiplane when you are within 60 feet of the big bad guy, right? And so you get within 60 feet of the bad guy and it opens one demiplane that you trapped a monster in. And then you cast it again to open another one that you trapped another nasty monster in. And then you go, have fun with that. Bye. Yeah. Teleport out of there.
Have both of them push the other guy into one of those demiplanes, trap them all in one, and then they're just, Tasmanian deviling it here.
Battle Royale. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's a fun one, and I would allow some great shenaniganery with it. I like the word shenaniganery.
Well, yeah, it needs to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I can't remember if I heard that somewhere or if I just came up with it, but
it still needs to be on a t-shirt.
So I'm gonna have to do 3 in this section.
No. Yes.
Okay. Because I could not narrow it down. So my second one would be clone.
Ah, yes.
And you probably saw this coming because of our conversation the other day.
Yeah. I know exactly why.
So clone is one of those ways that your character can gain immortality. You basically, it costs a lot of money, but you basically create a clone of yourself that is a empty vessel, doesn't have a soul, and it just sits in this little either urn or pocket in the ground until you die. Mm-hmm. And you can make the clone a younger version of yourself, or whatever age you would like it to be. When you die, your soul is now drawn into that clone, and you wake up in that body and break out of the urn or the casket or the pocket in the ground or whatever.
Yeah. And
you're still alive. So the reason we talked about this the other day is because I got a fun character concept idea where I was like, what if there was this ancient spellcaster who has been staying alive all these years by casting clone whenever he's, older and closer to death and whatever. And say you're starting a 1st level campaign and you want to be able to justify that crazy high intelligence score that you have. And he made a clone of himself that was a younger version because he's like, I want more time before I have to cast the spell again. So I'm going to make like a 10-year-old version of myself. He dies, wakes up in his cloned body, and for some reason something went wrong, and now he does not have his spellcasting capabilities that he had before. Yeah. So I was thinking,
he has all the intelligence.
Yeah, so this is for wizards only.
Oh,
it's a spell that's wizards only. But he wakes up and he's like a wild magic sorcerer because he's lost his ability to control his magic and is now a first level spellcaster. So he has his wizard spell book, but can't cast like 90% of the spells in it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't even cast all the cantrips that are in it.
Oh,
because he's just lost the ability to do it. And so through your level ups, like, okay, you're going from level 1 to level 2. Okay, now you can take your first level in wizard. But you still have that thing of the wild magic sorcerer where whenever you cast a spell, it has
Something
the
crazy,
potential to cause a wild magic surge because he still doesn't have full control of it. And so he's this very frustrated wizard. He's an old man in a 10-year-old's body that just is like you come across this big nasty monster and he's like, oh, don't worry, everybody. I have just the spell that'll clear this up. Tries to cast Disintegrate.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. You can only cast first level spells.
A bunch of butterflies come out.
And he's just like, oh no. We should run.
All right. So real quick, if you're done, I want to go over the components of this.
Oh yeah.
Because it's crazy.
Yep.
So it is verbal, somatic, and material.
Mm-hmm.
So it costs a diamond worth at least 1,000 gold pieces and at least 1 cubic inch of flesh of the creature that is to be cloned, which the spell consumes. Yep. Understandable. And a vessel worth at least 2,000 gold pieces that has a sealable lid and is large enough to hold a medium creature, such as a huge urn, coffin, mud-filled cyst in the ground, or crystal container filled with salt water.
Yep.
What?
So you have to have all kinds of material components to create this clone.
You literally have to be the Prestige.
Fair enough. Except he was drowning his clones.
Well, yeah. But, like, what is he going to do with his original body? Like, he has to do something with it.
Yeah.
Is he keeping them all in something? Is he just... Does it make his body just disintegrate? What happens
with this character? He was basically doing he has these like magical caches around the place, and that's one of the other things that I wanted to do, where like he's forgotten exactly where all of them are because again something went wrong with this clone. So if you ever just wanted to do like a fun little trap puzzle dungeon, you could just like, hey, you remember, like, your character remembers you have this. Like, I think I had a cache around here somewhere where I had some of my magical implements, and like, you know, you wanted to do a loot drop with some magic items for some of the players. Like, hey, you had a thing here, like, you know, somewhere around, and then you have to like find it, and then like you start running into these traps and puzzles, and like, okay, you made this place. How do we get in? I don't know. It was over 3 lifetimes ago. Why would I remember how to get in there?
Yeah.
And then
that
like
was 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, like
I was there.
Yeah, and then you get into it, and you finally get to the end of it, and it's like, what was in here? My favorite toothbrush. Or, you know, just something goofy like that.
Stupid,
like, oh yeah, I had a couple pages of my old spell book in here, and be like, we did all that for 3 spells? Like, well, they're very good spells.
They're very important to me.
Yeah, they're very nice spells. Or, you know, like, I did this for you. There's a magic sword in that box over there. Runs over to grab it. Ah, wait, it's a mimic.
Oh, no.
You know, just stuff like that. Just like you would have like you as the player, like cooperating with the DM would have some fun stuff that you could get the party into. Like, oh, boys, there's a trove over here that I hid years ago. Oh, we don't want to have anything to do with it. After the last one, when we all almost died, I don't want any of your magic treasure holes in the ground. And be like, but this one had some really good stuff in it. Like, how good?
Fine.
How good? Because if this is another toothbrush stash, we're gonna let the barbarian rip your arms off.
But all your teeth are dirty. You really need them.
Yeah. So that's clone, and then the third one I'll probably do pretty quick is illusory dragon.
Illusory. Oh, yeah.
So you basically piece a bunch of shadow together and make a big freaking dragon. Now, you would think from the name Illusory Dragon that it's just an illusion, right? This thing can kill you.
Ooh.
So you make a big freaking dragon, and you can move it around up to 60 feet each turn as a bonus action. And it can exhale a blast of energy in a 60-foot cone originating from its space. And you can choose if it's going to be acid, cold, fire, lightning, necrotic, or poison. So you get the different damage types as though it's an actual dragon.
Dude.
76 damage, yada, yada, yada. People can try to figure out what it is, see if it's an illusion and stuff. And if they learn that it's an illusion, it doesn't completely negate the spell.
Was it like half damage or something?
Yeah, I think
yeah, half as much on a successful intelligence saving throw.
Yeah. So if they find out that it's an illusion, the creature can see through it and they get advantage on the saving throws against its breath attack.
Oh my gosh.
But it's still like even advantage on the save. That's 7d6.
Yeah. That's nothing to sneeze at.
As a bonus action. And plus you get this big stinking dragon that can frighten people for up to a minute. And frightened is such a good condition to be able to dish out against your enemies. Mm-hmm. And so like you come into combat and you're just like, hey, here's my dragon. His name is Jeff. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
But just what bandit's gonna stand around after that?
Yeah, no. It's gonna poop its pants and
have
go
you
running.
met my dragon? His name is Jeff. And then he just like I forgot I left the oven on. That's Middle Ages. You don't have an oven. I left the iron on in the shower with the toaster. I have to go. So yeah, figured I'd make that one pretty quick because
cool.
it's such a fun spell, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Like the things you can do with that are just great.
I feel like it's almost kind of like
one of the phantasmal spells.
Phantasmal Force, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking, but like
an upgraded phantasmal killer.
Basically, where it's like it's there, but it's in your mind.
Yeah. You know? But it's not targeting one enemy. It's you've made a big illusory dragon out of shadow stuff, and everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of mind stuff,
yes,
my first one is Feeble Mind.
I saw that on your list. Like I looked over at your computer and went, "Okay, I'll talk about a different one because that was on my list."
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Who doesn't want to turn your enemy into a drooling mess?
It makes your intelligence score go down to 1.
Yeah.
Which is all the negatives.
Yeah.
So you're basically even dumber Grog.
You're not wrong.
So yeah, I won't spend much time on that one, but that one's pretty cool. I've seen it done a couple of times on PC characters or
player
character characters.
You said player character characters.
Yeah. But my other one that I chose was one that I've actually never seen anyone do. And haven't seen anybody do it. It's called Maze. I just read through the spell and I was like, oh man, this is so cool.
That one's an interesting one.
So it's basically a banish spell, but you banish them into a endless maze. So it says you banish a creature that you can see within range into a labyrinth demiplane. The target remains there for the duration or until it escapes the maze. And it makes a DC 20 intelligence check. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
That one, like I said, I
You
have
can
never
just,
seen anyone
you
do
can
it.
just lock down an opponent for a while.
Yeah.
But
And
if
it
I'm
lasts
not
for
wrong,
10
something
minutes.
like Garistros and Minotaurs just automatically succeed.
Oh, is it really?
I think so.
Okay.
Garistro demons and Minotaurs. So Garistros because they are under the domain of Baphomet, and Baphomet, like his whole plane of the abyss is a giant maze.
Oh, okay.
And then
so he just
and then Minotaurs because he's a Minotaur.
what's special about a Minotaur that makes them good at mazes?
What's the original mythological legend of the Minotaur? What's its lair?
I don't know.
It's the Minotaur in the labyrinth.
Oh, okay. Oh, so like the movie Labyrinth is that a Minotaur?
No.
Or no? Okay. All right.
No, that's
I don't know.
That's David Bowie and his wiggly junk.
Okay. All right.
No, so Greek mythology.
Oh, I'm thinking Pan's Labyrinth. Sorry. Whatever.
That was a faun, but
it basically, a weird animal looking dude.
Yeah. So the original Greek mythology, the Minotaur was trapped in the labyrinth.
Okay.
And they would send people into it as, sometimes as a quest and sometimes as a sacrifice.
Okay. All right. I think I remember that now from one of the cartoon things that we sent to each other. There was like a cartoon that showed this thing. Oh, maybe it's not one that we sent, but it's something I've seen before.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Minotaurs and then Garistro demons. I think
nice.
they, if I'm not mistaken, they automatically succeed.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So, final level.
9th level.
Heroes level.
Yeah, this is the reality warping god tier spells.
Which is funny because I didn't choose any of those type of those spells.
You didn't choose reality break?
No, because I've never seen it done. So
actually, I think that one might be an 8th level. Yeah, reality break is 8th level.
Is it?
Yeah, I didn't choose any of that either. So obviously, the most honorable mention is Wish.
Oh yeah, of course.
You can't talk about 9th level spells without saying Wish, but I would say that of these, it's a great spell. Don't get me wrong, but there's others that I probably like more.
Yeah.
So my first on the list of 9th level spells is True Polymorph.
Yep.
Because any spell that will allow you to turn into a dragon.
Oh yeah.
And furthermore, any spell that will allow you to turn into a dragon and then stay one permanently.
Also,
my brother in Christ.
Also, any spell that lets you gain hit points that don't take away from your original hit points.
Yeah. But I just have to say, if you where is it?
You do have to say that.
Yeah, I do have to say. Come on. Where is it?
I also love the fact that mass polymorph is a thing.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's a different.
But being able to just say like okay, I would allow this if you're playing, because this spell is available to bards, warlocks, and wizards. If you're playing one of those characters, and I, for example, said, hey, I'm going to do another 20th level one shot. Mm-hmm. And you said, I'm going to play as a wizard. Can I be a wizard that casts True Polymorph on himself to turn himself into a gold dragon and then just maintained the concentration until it became a permanent thing?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yeah, you're a gold dragon. Now, here's one of the things that a gold dragon can do. A gold dragon, an adult gold dragon, can polymorph himself into a human.
Yeah.
So you can be walking around as an adult gold dragon in human form, combat starts, and then you surprise everybody at the table, be like, well, I'm going to drop polymorph on myself. And they go, wait, what? Dragon.
Yeah.
fair enough, dude. Like, go for it. And what's crazy is dragons still can cast spells.
Yeah.
They still have that intelligence where they can cast all the same wizard spells and stuff like that. Specifically, gold dragons are arcane wizard-like spellcasters.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have your 20 levels of wizard in your draconic form.
Yep.
Dude. Maybe not the greatest spell in the game, but if it lets you turn into a dragon, it's pretty much the greatest spell in my game, in the book, in the game, in my book.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the last 20th level, or the 20th level thing that we did, how many times did I like do some kind of draconic transformation?
I mean, you did shape change to turn into a dragon. And then when that dropped, you turned into you did the draconic transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, you ended up casting, I think, regular polymorph to turn into a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Which is almost a dragon.
Yeah. Just shorter arms and no wings.
And no breath.
And no
breath weapon. Yeah.
Poor T-Rex.
Yeah.
He's got a pink head, no arms, and no breath.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pick number one.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many fun uses that you can do with that, but my favorite use is I'm going to permanently turn myself into an adult gold dragon. And then what's to say that you do that and then you don't age into ancient or great worm?
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's a good one.
That's terrifying.
It's a good one. Be like, I used to be a wizard. What happened? I became a really good wizard. like what wizard at the ability to cast 9th level spells is looking for the path to lichdom when you could turn into a dragon?
Right.
Be like, liches, I think you mean weak.
Family friendly.
Yeah. And then my second 9th level pick. Yeah, you guys all knew it was coming. I love third-party content creators.
Oh yeah.
I adore my third-party content creators. So I was torn because I have Kobold Press's Deep Magic.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a list of different spells for epic level characters that I got off of DM's Guild. I have all kinds of fun stuff, but I recently picked up a very great book that I quite enjoy. I've been trying to reach out to them because we want to do a review of the book and want to make sure that it's okay if we do this. So because I don't know exactly what the rules are on this, I'll be fairly vague. I picked up a book by the Dungeon Dudes called Sebastian Crow's Guide to Drakenheim. For anybody who wants a fun grimdark setting or just wants a few more character subclasses and a brand new class, really,
I picked one out of it, I believe.
Really fun book. Really fun book. But one of the classes that's in it is called the Apothecary. And one of the subclasses of the Apothecary is basically a plague bearer. It's called the Pathogenist, and they're all about debuffs and inflicting diseases and exhaustion and poison and all this other just nasty. Mm-hmm. They're a really good debuffer. Well, they have a 9th level spell that's available to the Apothecary. And I love it. It's maybe not the best if you're like in a single combat with the big bad evil guy. You know, it'll be good. But what immediately came to mind when I read it was, what if you're trying to protect a city from an orc invasion? You know, there's like 100 orcs or 1,000 orcs that are marching on this city that you guys care about. And then you just walk out and cast this spell and watch as they all start dropping dead. Like all of them. Mm-hmm. So it's called Pandemic. It is a 9th level spell. Costs an action to cast. Your range is only 60 feet, which isn't, it's a respectable range. So you're going to have to get within like arrow distance to cast this.
Yep.
Luckily, if you're able to cast 9th level spells, you're probably got a good amount of hit points and probably a decent armor class at least. Verbal, somatic, and material components. The material components is the fetid corpse of a plague rat. Duration is instantaneous, and basically what you do is you pick a dude and you say, hey.
An orc dude.
You pick an enemy and you say, hey, you don't look so good. And you infect them with a very fast-spreading and virulent disease that every single round they're going to take a whole bunch of damage. Other than that, everybody within 10 feet of them now has to make a save against this spell. And if they fail it, they now take a whole bunch of damage. And even on your, even if you succeed on it, like if you're infected with it and you succeed on your saving throw on your next turn, you still take half damage, and it does not go away until somebody casts something like Wish or Greater Restoration or one of the higher tiered, like healing / removing effect spells. But think about it this way, okay? Say, for example, it is an orc army. Orcs do have clerics. They follow Grumsh.
Mm-hmm.
And say, they've got a whole bunch of clerics with them, and they start throwing Greater Restoration out. Well, the problem is they're going to run out of spell slots because it's everybody within 10 feet of that target is now potentially infected with it. And now everybody within 10 feet of that target is infected, and everybody within 10 feet. So it just spreads across the battlefield like wildfire. And okay, you've cast Greater Restoration on this guy. Okay, he's cured. But then he starts his next turn, and he's now within 10 feet of an infected victim. And he gets it again. And so just every single turn, you're just cutting through swaths of your enemies by just casting this on one guy. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the pathogenist, when you cast a spell that inflicts a disease, I think it's a thing you can take. When you cast a spell that inflicts a disease on a target, you can pick an adjacent target to also hit them. So now you've started with 2.
Yeah.
And then it just
spreads from there. Yeah. Dang.
And you just watch the apothecary just kind of casually walk up to the battlefield, point at one guy and be like, you don't look so great. And then they just drop dead, and everybody next to them just starts dying in a wave. Now again, not the best 9th level spell, but
pretty good.
The visuals of that. You have this guy that's a master of diseases and poisons and acids and virology and stuff like that, and then he just goes out and wipes out a whole army with one spell.
Dang.
Yes, please.
Now, I would say that the enemy would hope that they have their armies in groups of legions or whatever.
Yeah. Like, these are different cohorts. But then you have the one moron that's like, hey, my buddy over there just died. Runs over.
Oh no.
Somebody help. Yeah.
That would be
and as chaos breaks out in their ranks and they all start running wild. Who's to say, okay, this guy's infected, and he decides to run away before he knows how sick he is and runs past one of the other legions.
Yeah.
Well, now they're all sick too. And when have you ever known orcs to be organized?
No. Not
outside
really.
of the Battle of Minas Tirith in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Never.
Slightly at Helm's Deep, but that was more.
But they were still all grouped together.
They were still grouped, yeah.
They were more trained fighters,
dun,
but
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. But yeah,
Jump.
I just like that spell.
Yeah. That is pretty crazy.
And I first read it and I went, that's a little bit overpowered. But then I thought, it's a 9th level spell.
Yeah, and if you're going up against armies,
you might as well let your apothecary have a win and say, you know what, I've kind of been a debuffer and a support character this whole time. It's time to do some damage.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's time to kill.
Don't worry about this. I can take care of these unorganized, foolish boys. What are you gonna do? I have a needle. What's in the needle, Frederick? It's better if you don't know.
Just stay away from it.
Just kind of loads it into his little mechanical arm and then just.
Yep.
You don't look so good. What do you mean? Oh, I don't feel good. Starts dropping dead.
Yeah.
And it's a significant amount of damage each round too. But again,
how many?
I wasn't going to say because it's.
Oh, okay.
It's,
all right. Yeah.
I don't know exactly the rules on third-party content, so I'm just. So yeah, that's my 9th level pick. The spell is called Pandemic, and it's in Sebastian Crow's Guide to Drakenheim, which you can pick up on Ghostfire Games. They are not a sponsor, but
we would like them to.
but I really like their stuff.
Nice. I like it. Well, you touched on 2 of mine already.
2 of them?
Yeah. Well, technically 3. Because we called Wish the
yeah, it's kind of the penultimate
dimension of,
or not the penultimate. It's the ultimate 9th level.
Yeah. But you said True Polymorph and Shape Change.
I didn't say Shape Change.
You mentioned it. You didn't like it's not. It wasn't one of your list, but it was mentioned.
I said any spell that lets you permanently turn into a dragon.
Yes, but you mentioned Shape Change by name. But yeah, so both of those were on my list because I love transformation spells. They're so much fun. But I won't get into them because we kind of already did. But my only other one that I had on my list was Time Stop. Because I saw it done in I saw it done in Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was fun. And then the fact that Simon was able to counterspell it at the end, that was so cool. But yeah, just being able to like stop time and like trap people in a bubble of, time stop. Stopped time.
Yeah. I mean,
timing stop of time.
Time stop.
Yeah.
See, I figured you would have had something like Time Ravage or like Power Word Kill or Meteor Swarm if we want like the
Meteor Swarm,
one of the largest that could also take out an army.
That's true. I've seen that one done.
Yeah.
That one's killer.
That one's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I was on the receiving end of a Meteor Swarm.
Ugh.
Luckily, I was right outside of the target.
It's crazy too when you see it done.
He couldn't find me
inside. Because you can't just get away from that. That's kill. That's power meteor kill.
Where are you going? Hi, sir.
Yeah. I would say that's another one I would put on my list then. Meteor Swarm is definitely crazy.
I mean, there's not as many 9th level spells as there are of all the other levels, because once you're that powerful of a spellcaster, like there's not been that many people who have made 9th level spells, you know, because each spell has to have been created canonically by another spellcaster, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, mainly what you're doing is just copying somebody else's magic that they've already come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And there have not been a whole lot of spellcasters of that caliber who can even come up with a 9th level spell.
Yeah.
And so the list is a lot shorter, but man, are they good. Man, are they good.
And not only that, but even at 20th level, you only get, 1 to 2 9th level spells?
And I think only 1 spell slot.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Let me double check.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the spell slots is what I mean.
I think, not that one.
It's either 1 or 2, and it's like, so you can't even pick that many.
Mm-hmm.
So the list is very, very, very short.
Well, if you're a wizard, you get more, because I think you get access I think the Warlock gets the most because I think you get them at 17th level. Yeah. So you would, as a wizard, you would gain access to 9th level spells at 17th level.
Mm-hmm.
And then each time you level up as a wizard, you get to add 2 spells to your spell book. So you would get to add 8 9th level spells if you only decided to choose 9th level spells.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but why would you do that?
Yeah, but even at 20th level, you only have 1 slot.
Yeah. Which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're very powerful, but like, what if it's dispelled? What if it's counterspelled? What if, like...
You'd have a hard time counterspelling.
I've seen it done, though. A player character, a low-level player character, dispelled a 9th level spell.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you have to...
It's hard.
You have to either burn a 9th level spell slot using counterspell or roll really well.
Yeah. I believe it was a natural 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, that would do it. But...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, very dangerous. If you're a player character and somebody's casting a 9th level spell at you, you'd better hope you're high enough level to either survive it.
I think they were only like 9th level to begin with. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was early on in the campaign. Like, I think it was about halfway through the campaign.
That means they're only casting 5th level spells at that point.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough, buddy.
That's rough. But yeah, so it's a lot. But yeah, so that's my list.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah, I like it.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys have any to add to that, or any third-party ones that we missed, that'd be fun to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I have way more third-party spell. Like, if we could do this whole series just on third-party content based on the fact that, like, so Deep Magic, right? I think base game, there's only like 600 or so spells in, like, published by Wizards of the Coast. If you add, it should tell you. Like, if you go to... No, it's down there at the bottom. Yeah.
520.
Yeah, so there's like 520 canonical Wizards of the Coast published spells. Deep Magic has over 700 spells in it.
Oh, geez.
And they have spells of each level, starting all the way down at cantrips to 9th level.
Yeah.
So, like, if you
really gotta read that, man.
There's some good ones in there, like Bitter Chains and Hellfire Blitz and God, there was the one, I sent it to you the other day where it was like the displaced attack or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Where like somebody's trying to stab you and you just open a portal where their weapon goes in and then you open the other side somewhere else and you can even make it stab the attacker. And it's just like, oh, that's dirty. I like it. Like,
yeah.
Or the whole section on chaos magic where you cause their armor or their weapons to rebel against them and start like pushing back on what they're trying to do. Like, Deep Magic in itself more than doubles the amount of spells in the base game.
Yeah.
And then you start adding stuff like, okay, well, I'm going to go buy Grim Hollow and I'm going to go buy Drakenheim and I'm going to go buy, these different little things on the DM's Guild and all these different third-party publishers. And Kobold Press is about to come out with another, like, Deep Magic 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many are going to be in that.
And how have they come up with that many?
Because they're amazing.
Ridiculous.
They're amazing. But like you can do an entire series of cantrip through 9th level spells just on the Deep Magic book.
Yeah.
And on the previous episodes, I did do quite a bit from those, but there's more that I know of that I'm like, yes, I'll do one on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely need to up my game on reading those because, man, I'm only working off of the spells app that
Yeah.
we use.
I allow those spells in my games.
Yeah.
So you being a player at my table have access to the spells from Guide to Dragonheim. You have access to the spells from Deep Magic. Like, ask me and I'll let you borrow the book.
I've been meaning to.
Yeah.
But I haven't even read like the ones that you've already let me borrow. So I'm like,
there's a stack of my books behind him that he just pointed at. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that will end our series on the spells, at least for now. But thank you guys so much for listening to Critical Friendship. If you have any questions concerning anything we discussed today, you can email us at criticalfriendshippodcast@gmail.com or comment on our Instagram at Critical Friendship Podcast. And we'll try to answer as many as we can on our next episode.
Join us next time where Dan will be attempting to guess the rules of my old childhood game, Hide from Cars. Hint, it has something to do with cars and hiding.
But as for now, dang it, I rolled a nat one on giving the outro.
This is the sound of Taz walking.